Are you ready to connect with distinguished Nigerians around the world? The Diaspora Perspective is here to share the views of Nigerians in the diaspora on burning issues.
From the street of New York, the royal cities of London, and the bustling cities of Europe, Voice of the People Television brings to you a roundtable and collage of interesting views from Nigerians in diaspora.
Join the host of the show and some Nigerians in diaspora, Dr. Damages, the flagship, show, and KJ, as they discuss the experiences, challenges, and triumphs of Nigerians living abroad.
Discussing and analyzing everything from politics, culture, policies, career success, and how Nigerians are staying connected to their roots. Showing every Saturday by 2 p.m. West African Time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The Diaspora Perspective, giving a voice to Nigerians abroad.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to another interesting edition of the Diaspora Perspective Show on Voice of the People Television. I am your host, Chukwuma Okoro. On Diaspora Perspective Show, we discuss different political, governance, economic, and development issues in Nigeria. The TDP brings the views of Nigerians in the diaspora community, in the context of how governance issues are handled overseas and how Nigeria can leverage on those ideas to bring development and economic growth back home. But before we get into the major discussions, we encourage you to like our page by clicking on the like button. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. You can also call in or send WhatsApp messages to the number showing on your screen. The number is 0905 504 2974. Let me take that number again, 0905 504 29 leadership in Nigeria, where we'll look at how the views of these people who had power at different points in Nigeria will impact on, or how it's impacted the quality of leadership we have in Nigeria. And again, Nigeria's inclusion as a member of the Brics, as a partner member of Brics, and the proposed currency having, from the case, have challenged the legality of the EFCC in court. We have packed so much, and we have a couple of experts. We have some experts with us, both at home and abroad, to help us unglue, these things, the way that the average Nigerian will make sense of how they pan in the society. And joining me in the studio is Dr. Kayode, Dr. Dayo Kayode, sorry about that. Dr. Kayode is a sociopolitical analyst and an aviation safety expert. Dr. Dayo Kayode.
It's my pleasure being with you this afternoon.
Thanks for coming.
Nice meeting you.
We are joined on the other side by Dr. Damages. Dr. Damages is a satirist, a writer, journalist, and an adjunct professor at the School of Visual Arts in New York, United States. We also have KJ. KJ is a medical production and training professional. We'll have Sho. Sho is an IT and clinical systems trainer, and the flagship, who is a clinical research operations lead and a business development entrepreneur. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Sho, are you there? Can you say
Yes.
hi to Nigerians?
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, and good afternoon to your viewers. I'm happy to be here once again.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sho. Dr. Damages, can you say hi to us?
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here again, and hopefully we'll have a good conversation.
All right, KJ, can we hear your voice?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us, and hope that the network would allow us to have a good conversation today.
I understand that you are a training expert. You help us, you help the tech team, to ensure that we don't have any glitch in the course of this show.
Anytime, I'll be glad to do that, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Now, before we get into the major discussions today, a couple of things trended within the week, and we would like to just have our quick takes on any of those issues. And one is ongoing. One of them is the current the campaigns in the United States of America, talking about the November 5 general presidential election in the United States. Nigerians are on it again. A couple of people are rooting for Trump. A couple of people are rooting for Democrats and Kamala Harris, for reasons best known to them. It's even surprising that Nigerians show this kind of interest in the American elections when we are there's some level of voter apathy here in Nigeria. Many Nigerians don't even, except the ones that live there, they don't vote in the American election, but the intensity of their thing, it's so glaring. And I have a colleague here who says that if not Donald Trump, who else? According to him, after Jesus, the next person is Donald Trump. And I'm like, wow, for what reason? Anyway, we would like the guests to chime in on that in the course of the show to tell us how the Americans are likely going to vote and the outcome, the possible outcome of the November 5 election. Again, during the week, we lost one of our eminent sons, if you permit me to say that. That's Professor Humphrey Nwosu, the man at the center of the June 12 elections. He was the chairman of the National Electoral Commission when June 12 elections was conducted. You understand what happened? He had started announcing the results when MK Abdullah was coasting to victory. And the military authorities stopped him. He resisted. From stories we heard, they even assaulted him physically and overpowered him. Now, in those years, Nigerians believe that the man remains unsung. Now, the question is, now that he is dead, will Nigeria remember him? And within the week, we have a former head of state, General Gowon, celebrate his 90th birthday. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2022 general elections, P2B, extended a mere birthday greetings to him, and Nigerians, especially people from the Southeast, are trolling him. Mr. Obi, why will you congratulate Gowon, a man at the center of the civil war that claimed more than 3.5 million lives from the Biafran side? Are we still hurting from the events of the war? Isn't it time we closed in, removed the hurt, and moved on as a nation? And finally, the IMF yesterday said, look, we didn't ask President Bola Tinubu to remove a fuel subsidy or to float the Naira. It was an internal decision of the Nigerian government. This looks like some kind of double speak because we also have IMF say, look, we made these recommendations and it's in the good direction. So, gentlemen, I would like your quick takes briefly so that we will get into the major topics of conversation. Let me start with Dr. Dayo Kayode. Dr. Dayo Kayode, in any of these issues, which one do you think? Let's have your take on one of them, please.
I will talk maybe 5 seconds on a little bit.
Okay, good.
You see, with due respect to our other Nigerians living in America that doesn't want Trump, as for me, I believe that the best thing that ever happened to Trump, to ever happen to Americans, is Donald Trump. You know why? Because while he was there, we saw the way the economy of America was improving, even though that doesn't concern us in Nigeria. But the one that concerns us mostly has to do with peace in the world. We see the way it was controlling peace in the world. I'm telling you, if it had been Trump, by now, the war in Ukraine and Russia would have died out. And that of the one in Israel and this Palestine will have gone down the drain there. Now, talking about Humphrey Nwosu, you see, Humphrey Nwosu is someone that ought to have been celebrated before now. I wondered why he has not even been given some kind of commendation by this particular government, bearing in mind that even MK Abdullah was adjudged the winner of that particular election. So also, by Buhari, it was given GCON, right? It was given GCON. So I don't know why Humphrey was not also being celebrated at that particular time. Now, talking about the East.
Sorry, some people have said, is it because it's Igbo?
You mean Humphrey Nwosu?
Yes.
I wouldn't want to talk about that. Whether it's
Nigerians,
Igbo or not. But perhaps if I say this, perhaps by the time I now talk about Obi, you will know whether it's Igbo or not, because I believe that either Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, or wherever, we should be one. We are all one. I'm somebody that always talk about a cohesive nation, okay? Now, talking about Peter Obi celebrating Gowon, I say by now, we should have put all those things behind us. it was an happenstance of a particular time that some people there thought it was better, but they have all regretted it.
Dr. Kayode, do you think the federal government, the Nigerian state, has done enough to put a final closure to the events of the Civil War by including or excluding the Southeast from the commanding heights of our national?
Yes, you see, along the line, I was saying something during the last general elections before the primaries, that if all the parties are saying presidency should come to the South, we should define it. President Olusegun Obasanjo had been there 8 years. Oshibajo was there, even as vice, 8 years. Jonathan was also there, South, 6 years. So why don't we allow the Southeasterner to become the president? If truly we are saying, we are talking about inclusivity. Because for us to have a cohesive system, all the systems, all the subsystems must be recognized. The one you are not recognizing one, then the whole will not be able to work.
Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Kayode. I guess we'll have to make this a major topic of discussion when next you are in the studio.
No problem.
All right. Thanks for your quick take. Let me come over to our brothers in diaspora. Dr. Damages, can we have your quick take on any of those issues that we just talked about now?
Thank you so much. I like how Bayo Kayode and people in Nigeria look at the election in America.
Exactly. I wanted you to talk about the U.S. election because it's trending here.
When they don't typically understand the whole issue. Let me tell you what's going on today. Washington Post and Los Angeles Times have refused to endorse a candidate. No, let me rephrase it. Their publishers are scared to allow the newspaper to endorse a candidate. This is the first time in so many years, probably up to 100 years, that the papers could not do this. Why? Because they were afraid that if Trump wins and they endorsed the wrong candidate, that he will deal with them. And that's how he talks. So there's a chilling effect already in parts of America, in the media and all the space about the possibility of Trump being the next president of America. What most people don't know is that they don't know what keeps America, America. And this man is going to destroy those things if he comes back. And people around the world think of things that they don't know how it connects to democracy and how democracy, if it collapses in America, whatever you are thinking about Christianity and about rule of law are going to collapse, not just in America, but around the world. I hope we'll have time one day to talk about this before the election. But it's serious.
Thank you, Dr. Damages. KJ, can we have your quick take on any of these issues?
Okay, I will talk about Humphrey Nwosu. People like Humphrey Nwosu should be the ones receiving national award in Nigeria. But you see, we have all left that person who could have taken an example he has put on ground and run with it. And rather, we are giving national awards to people who have neither served Nigeria just because they happen to find themselves in National Assembly and they are struggling for the highest national honors in Nigeria. Someone like Humphrey Nwosu and his method of the 8-4 option should have been what Nigeria would have exported to the world, our own brand of democracy and how to get good governance. But we failed to utilize that, and today he's gone with that idea. On the issue of leaders like Obasanjo and Danjuma crying out, I'm trying to understand.
Sorry, KJ, that's a major topic of discussion.
Okay. All right, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sorry, can you come in at this point? Quick take, please.
Yes, sure. I'm just going to talk on the American politics from a slightly different angle. It's quite interesting to listen to former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. I've listened to both of them over the years, and more a lot lately.
Sure, are you there?
Portray themselves as the bastion of democracy. And it's quite, almost an oxymoron to think that if you're saying you're the bastion of democracy, at the same time you're telling us these are the best two people you can put forward. I mean,
we seem to be having a glitch there.
But when you look at America presenting someone like Kamala Harris, when she speaks, she doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. And when Trump speaks, he just speaks like a child, like in high school, calling people horse face, calling people rocket man, and all this little childish tantrum that he throws, tweeting at 4 a.m. I just think America can do a lot better than the two that they've presented.
All right, thank you, Sure. Flagship, can you come in here, please, at this moment, quickly?
I would like to speak on Humphrey Nwosu. Let me start by saying, may his gentle, great, and courageous soul rest in peace. I remember back in the day when the election was held, how his electoral process, someone like Humphrey Nwosu should be considered one of the greatest of all times, and the great nationalist that should be honored beyond now.
All right, thank you, Flagship, and thank you, gentlemen, for your quick takes. Now, let's cut into the major discussions of the show. In a major cabinet reshuffle, President Tinubu reassigned 10 ministers, removed 5, and appointed 7 new ministers. Pending Senate confirmation, Ogun State stands out with 4 ministers, the highest representation by any state. Key changes include renaming the Ministry of Niger Delta Development to the Ministry of Regional Development, eliminating the Ministry of Sports Development, and merging tourism with arts and culture. The new ministerial nominees are Dr. Jumoke Oduwele from Ogun State, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Nentawe Yiwalda, Plateau State, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, who replaced Beta Edu, Muhammadu Dingyadi from Sokoto State, Minister of Labor and Employment, Bianca Ojumegu Ojuku from Anambra State, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, who replaced Uju Kennedy Ohanenye, Idi Maiha from Kaduna, Minister of Livestock Development, I think is the first minister for that ministry, Yusuf Atta from Kano, Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development, and Dr. Suwaiba Ahmad from Kano, Minister of State for Education. Dr. Kayode, a few days ago, the minister rejigged his cabinet. What's your take? Are you impressed, or is there anybody that was left that should have been shoved aside?
You see, when he decided to do that, or even when people were muting idea that was going to change the cabinet, I was looking at it. Is it going to be changing those people based on performance or political patronage towards 2027? So unfortunate that at the end of the day, rather than using performance, he was using political patronage. And I will tell you this.
He said he used performance.
Performance,
in the case of the Minister of State for Defense.
It is we, the people that we know whether he has used performance or not. Let me give you an instance. Look at this woman, Uju or something like that.
Uju Kennedy Ohanenye.
Yeah. She was always out as regards respect for womanhood. She talked about, there was a time she went to one school, one university, that she was advocating for catch them young. That is, you should be doing one vocational activity or the other. Do you understand? These are people that are visionary. Very soon, you will see hawkers on the road selling series of toys on the road for Christmas, for children. Okay? Those toys are being made by who in China? Small children in China. Primary school, secondary school. Do you understand? And this woman is advocating for such. You are saying you are removing her.
So
now look at even minister for power. What is he doing? Minister for power, minister for finance, the central governor. What are they doing? The minister of finance should know that. Listen, there is no country in the whole world that doesn't protect its currency. Listen, my brother, don't let them deceive us that what are we producing? What is Cotonou producing? What is the Ghana producing? That their currency is now more powerful than ours. But because our government had blatantly forgotten that they need to protect our currency, that is why we are where we are today.
Dr. Kayode, on the issue of currency
yes,
and removal of subsidy, the World Bank says that the economic reform policies of the administration is good for Nigeria that they are against.
That is just rhetoric. What did this same World Bank say 2 weeks ago? That the policy that Nigeria is pursuing is good, that Tinubu should follow it up. Continue with it.
Exactly
okay,
what I'm saying.
What is okay? Look at OPEC and the IOC. Look at the way they are controlling Dangote refinery. When tomorrow comes and they will say they don't have anything to say in it. So what are you talking about? They are the one.
Is it OPEC that is making us not meet
with IOC
not meet our production quota?
Who is saying we are not meeting it?
We know we are not.
These are all abracadabra that you are saying.
Are we meeting it?
These are all okay. Let me also tell you this. Let me also tell you another abracadabra today. I have been saying it and I will continue to say it. At 190 naira per liter, then NNPC was making a profit of 100 naira per liter. This same National Assembly spoke about it at the inception of this assembly. So tell me, why are we selling like that? Let's leave that again. Look at another abracadabra. I don't know whether you have ever heard about direct supply, direct purchase policy of NNPC before now.
Yes.
Direct supply, direct purchase. With that policy, my brother, fuel is not supposed to be sold more than maximum 75 naira per liter.
Dr. Kayode, are you aware that our president is the Minister of Petroleum Resources?
And what has he done with that portfolio? Has he been able to show any kind of understanding of that particular office? That is why he came in with that it's just like
should he have appointed a professional to man that ministry? It's
not about appointment or no appointment. Because whatever you blow into the trumpet, it will blow out. And that is why I don't believe in this cabinet reshuffle. Whatever you ask them to do is what they will do. Because they are always out there at the mercy of the president.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kayode. We'll come back to you. Let's move over to the people in diaspora. So, there was a cabinet reshuffle. What's your take on it? Quick one.
Right. Thank you once again. I quite agree with a lot of things that Dr. Kayode. I quite agree with a lot of things he said on this topic. I'm not expecting much. There's a saying that I've come to adopt now that blessed are those who have limited expectation in Nigeria, for they shall not be disappointed. Mrs. Uju Kennedy was crude in her approach by all standards. She was very crude, but she was at least she appeared busy. You start to ask questions. People like Blue Marine Minister, Mr. Oyetola, former immediate past governor of Osun State. Has anyone heard anything about the Blue Marine Ministry? Why is it kept, or why was it kept? People like Dele Alake is still there. And I listened to an interview by Barrister Femi Falana a few years ago, where he said that annually Nigeria was losing $9 billion worth of gold that was being flown out of Nigeria by private jet. Now, Barrister Falana was quoting the former junior minister for mine and steel. That's Dr. Oga. So Dr. Oga is alleged to have said that we lose $9 billion gold alone. We're not talking, uranium or lithium and all these other things. So you have someone like Mr. Alake. What can anyone, and not even average, the most interested Nigerian in Nigerian matters, can they tell you today what Minister Alake has been doing, or Mr. Alake has been doing in his ministry? You see people like the junior minister for petroleum, that is reporting to the president, who is the Minister for Petroleum, Heineken Lokobiri. The man is clueless most of the time. He was the one that told us that, we were not Dangote was not bringing in crude oil from the US when he was actually doing that. The man does not know what's going on. These are the sort of people you start to think, what is this reshuffle about? If it's about competence, a lot of these people should be gone. People like the Minister for Interior, credit to him. If you live in the UK, you get your passport now. The appointment date might be in 3 months, but from the day you capture your biometrics, you get your passport in 2 days, which is a record. And I heard that he said from next year, it will be contactless. You don't have to go and submit your biometrics every time you renew. So there are people that should be kept, but people like Delia Laki, people like Oyetola, those sort of people should be gone. I mean, the Minister for Power, the national grid has collapsed God knows how many times. I was listening to the CEO, to the MD of TCN, Transmission Company Nigeria, whatever they are called. He was saying on TV the other day that Nigeria supply Niger, Togo, and Benin Republic, and they have 24-hour supply of electricity that they pay us. Now, I'm all for Nigeria doing business and making money, but how about we save some of those electricity we sell to these people, keep it for Nigerians? There's no way you can industrialize without power. There's no way you can say you're going to, produce. We're talking production. How are we going to produce without electricity? So, someone like Bayo Onanuga, Bayo Adelabu, you would think they would revisit some of these treaties, some of these agreements we have with Niger and Benin Republic. We need to look after ourselves first. Let us have power. Then we can industrialize, we can make money, then you can tax people. That's the way I say it. But this current reshuffle is about politics. And you see a lot of the defenders and supporters of Mr. President saying, oh, the president is strategic. Oh, leave politics to him. Oh, he owns politics. He appointed Mrs. Ojukwu. That is a masterstroke. These people keep talking about politics. They never talk about governance. What is it about politics that they're obsessed about? They're already campaigning. 2027 is all that's on their mind. How about the life of Nigerians today? Can we just leave politics for a second and talk governance?
All right, thanks. So I think for clarity, the reason why we supply Benin and Togo is because there's a treaty, tripartite treaty, so that those countries will not dam the river Niger that passes through their countries. So more like what we have between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia about damming the Nile or not damming the Nile. That's essentially why we supply. It's an agreement. Maybe we should revisit that agreement. Is that what you're saying? That's
exactly what I said. We need to revisit some of these things. And that's where you expect the Minister for Power to say, even if he doesn't get anything out of it, he should be saying that, okay, let's look at this. He should be exploring every avenue. Nothing should be left untouched. Look at every way you can help Nigerians to have electricity and not going on TV, insulting them, telling them to turn off their freezer when they leave the house in the morning and turn their freezer on when they come back in the evening. I mean, all these countries we talked about, Niger, Benin, and Togo, are they all band A? Are they all wealthy people that can afford band A? But for some strange reason, they can have 24-hour supply, and we struggle to get 6, 7, 8 a day. It's not working.
All right, thank you. Sure. Dr. Kaide, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, that damming has to do with Niger Republic, and it was Gowon that came up with that agreement, because River Niger, coming up that way, they wanted to block it and then use it for themselves. But we now say, okay, you don't block it. Here, we will dam it here, and then we'll be supplying you electricity. And that thing also played out during the military coup in Niger Republic. You remember? Yes. When Nigerians were saying, when Tinubu was saying, listen, we are going to cut off, and I told him then on a particular platform, I said, if you cut off their light, that will destroy your dam.
Unfortunately, we don't know why they are giving the same reason as the reason why they are giving light to Benin and Togo. Anyway, let's come over to you, KJ. I wanted to talk about the Ministry of Defense in the light of the fact that the ministry was left intact. We have the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru, and the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, who were given more like a vote of confidence by the NSA, who said, in the case of the Minister of State for Defense, who had been alleged to be a sponsor of terrorism and terrorists, he has a clean bill of health because we carried out an investigation and we found nothing incriminating against him. Meanwhile, insecurity spikes and envelopes Nigeria larger by larger every other day. Do you think that vote of confidence by the president is well deserved?
Thank you for the question. And I think anybody who is looking at the politics in Nigeria can understand what is going on. The only reason why he will continuously to occupy that position is because he's pandering to the powers that be, and he's probably also doing their bidding. If not, I don't see why a minister of defense, with the situation in Nigeria as currently is, would be given a vote of confidence. Confidence in what basis? On the basis that people are going to their farms now and they are farming. On the confidence that people can now travel in Nigeria, to any part of Nigeria without problems. On the confidence that the situation of the terrorism and the Terrorist Act have stopped. What is the confidence that is being given to him? If not because they are simply using these people to further their nest of holding on.
Sorry, KJ, are you aware that this present government, according to them, has killed more than 300 terrorist kingpins in the last 3 months? Isn't that a success?
It is not. We have always heard about people who have been killed and they eventually will reappear. You see, these days now, we are dealing with a world that you can no longer lie. The social media have made it so easy for you to verify anything. And I don't know why the Nigerian military especially always tell us figures that have been killed or so, and they will never see pictures. In fact, you can see even the strikes that Israel and Iran are striking each other. We can see them. We can see the impact. You can see where it landed. How come the Nigerian we can't see all those? No pictures, nothing. We only hear so and so have happened. It is the same thing. You see, it is the same thing. Look, if you look at even it's like when we sit in Nigeria, we look at what is working and we try to make it not to work. If not, tell me why you go to the sports ministry and begin to even think of changing it. That's the only thing that seems to be working for the Nigerian youth. That's the only thing that seems to be keeping the Nigerian people united at a particular time when there are particular national events. And then you go now, you try to bring in politics into it. Remember, we were doing much, much better before politics came into Nigerian, sports commission. And now we're going back to that same direction where it will be all politics. It beats my imagination. And if I need to digress a bit from what you asked me, the question is, those who say, because Mrs. Uju, who was removed recently, they may say she's not very good or she's raw, whatever you call her. But at least she seems to be doing something. What's the difference between Uju, and Wike in the FCT? Wike is even more crude than Madam Uju, in the business of doing government, because both of them are speaking from the same, speaking the same kind of language. So the question where I'm trying to get to is to say that some of these things that are used as yardstick to measure, the progress of the people in government may not necessarily be, correct, because the government is putting its own agents or agents in position and getting themselves ready to, continuously to capture power in Nigeria and use it to their own, glory, not to the.
All right.
Thank you.
Flagship, one second, I'll come back to you. Let me ask Dr. Kayode one question. Are you satisfied with the fact that it was the NSA that investigated the Minister of State on the allegation that is a terrorist sponsor? Shouldn't it have been the police? And if they found anything against him, take him to court.
Not even necessarily the police. Because both police, NSC, and that particular ministry belongs to the presidency. You're supposed to institute a public inquiry.
Who will do that? Is it not the same presidency?
Listen to this. When you are coming up with a public inquiry, it wouldn't be from the president. It could come from the judicial system. NJC. It could come from NJC.
NJC that is appointed by the president.
Now, if it comes from NJC, you let them collaborate with the person that was even signing. It's the governor of his state. It's governor of his state that was signing.
Is it about the independence of our institutions or the issue of strong men?
Now,
I mean, the president appoints almost everybody.
Listen now, you are now touching another part. Let me tell you this. The whole country is rotten because we are not having strong institutions. Rather, we're having strong individuals. Okay. I will give you an example. Can you imagine a former president of America being stand in the soapbox in the court. Can that happen here? Here is a place that even you, as a person, will be interviewing a personality and be telling you all sort of crude words and even work out on a live program. Why? Because we don't have strong institutions. The moment we start to have strong institutions in our nation, everything will begin to fall in place.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kayode. Now, Flagship, back to you. The appointment of Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu into the president's cabinet has generated a lot of controversy from the Southeast. A couple of people are saying, no, you don't take it because the presidency wants to use it to cut into the soul of one Apga in a bid to take Anambra State. They also say it's a way to douse the tension about the Biafran agitation. Recall that this woman had served as presidential advisor to Jonathan on diaspora matters. She was Nigeria's High Commissioner to Ghana and lately Nigerian ambassador to Spain. How do you think the appointment will impact on the Southeast politics in the coming days?
Well, there's already a divided opinion with the appointment of Mrs. Ojukwu by President Tinubu. There are different factions within the Igbo community for those that accept and agree with it and those who do not accept. I think I heard over the news this week that is it the APC group in Anambra State condemned her appointment by Tinubu, and they think that it's going to, in many ways, counter their moves in Anambra State. Let me say this, that Mrs. Ojukwu has the experience. She's functioned in many foreign affairs offices and positions that she's been given to from the Buhari administration until now. Her appointment as Minister of State, will that shift the compass in Anambra State in favor of, what's his name, the president of Nigeria, Tinubu? In my opinion, I don't think so. You know, what the people of the Igbo people really want at this point, if he's thinking of shifting the compass, is to let Nnamdi Kanu out. I think he will have more pressing positive outbursts from the Igbo community if he thinks that's a move he's trying to make for 2027. The appointment of Mrs. Ojukwu is good, in my opinion, to help him. I think he needs someone who has the experience and capacity to function in any of the offices in the ministerial positions that he is working with in his cabinet. So with reference to the Igbo people, there have been mixed feelings, mixed receptions. Those that say it worked and those that are saying no. The Igbo people in diaspora here put out a report this week applauding Tinubu for the appointment, and they are hoping to start next week a global group that will start a campaign for him in 2027. Tinubu is known as a strategist. When he was governor in Lagos State, he is pretty much known to move things around, not in favor of the people, but for himself. He has done that repeatedly, and we all have seen it. So with this move of Mrs. Ojukwu, it falls on the people of the Igbo community to determine whether this will favor him in 2027 or not. But in my opinion, I do not think so.
All right, thanks very much, Flagship. We'll say different strokes for different folks. And so much for the cabinet reshuffle. And, let's see how it pans out in the next few months. Is the president going to do another rejigging? And how soon would that be? Let's see. Now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo and retired General T.Y. Danjuma have voiced concerns over Nigeria's declining leadership quality. Both spoke during separate visits by the League of the Northern Democrats, led by former Kano Governor Ibrahim Shekarau in Abeokuta and Lagos. Obasanjo encouraged the group to expand nationwide, pledging to be their patron if they do so. Meanwhile, Danjuma also urged current leaders to prioritize the nation's future over personal interests. Obasanjo expressed confidence in the group's potential, commending Shekarau and Dr. Omar Ado, the secretary, for their dedication despite economic challenges. We still have in the studio Dr. Kayode. and the diaspora, our team. Let me start with you, Dr. Kayode. Obasanjo served as head of state between 1976 and 1979.
Yeah.
He served as
3 years.
3 years. He served as
Another
civilian
8
president
years.
for another 8 years.
11
years. Now, T.Y. Danjuma was involved right from the coup that toppled Aguiyi Ironsi up until when they handed, at the point he was chief of army staff. He again served Nigeria as Minister of Defense in the Obasanjo regime. If you put these two men together, how much responsibility should they take for what they term as the declining quality of leadership in Nigeria?
Yes, you see, when you look at Obasanjo's first headship of this nation, that was 76 to 79, culminating into the 1979 election. Look at those two personalities. Those two personalities that contested for presidency, Shagari and Awolowo. When you put them side by side, you're going to see that intentionally, the best candidate was not allowed to win. And that was when the issue of two-thirds crept into our political lexicon.
Said intentionally?
That was when the issue or the concept of 12 2/3 intentionally crept into our political lexicon. Because can you get 2/3 of a human being? The next thing then was to go to the Electoral College. Because when you look at it at that time, you're going to see that they now came up with series of concepts, a kind of upturning our constitution. And here we are. Here we are today. Shagari came in. What happened to that government?
What if Awolowo?
What happened to that government?
What if Awolowo was the one
elected? Now, listen to this.
Or
tomorrow.
Sorry. What if Awolowo was the one that had the higher number of votes and the issue of two-thirds came in?
Let me first of all answer the first one. Tomorrow is always a function of yesterday and today. If I want to judge you now, I have to look at your precedent, look at your today, and then be able to predict what you can do tomorrow. That is Awolowo and Shagari side by side. Vis-a-vis what Awolowo did while he was the Prime Minister of the Western region. We all knew all he did, but because of our time, I won't go into the rhetorics of that. Now, let us come back to if it was the other way around. If it had been the other way around, will Obasanjo not have declared that they should go to Electoral College? Will Akintunde, because Akintunde was the one defending MPN then, will he now go against his own party and say, listen, we have to go to Electoral College? No. They will have coined something else. Because at that time, we were all aware the body language. You know what we call the body language? It is unseen. Body language is unseen. You can't see it, but you can feel it. We all felt it then that it was not going to be. Look at the issue of Abiola. Between you and me, I told my father then, I said, Daddy, something is going to happen the way this thing is being declared. But I don't know what they're going to call it to, but it will be difficult for this government to allow Abiola to rule.
It wasn't Obasanjo's government.
No, it was. I was only trying to give you another example as regards what happened during Abiola. Okay? Now let us come back to the 8 years of Baba Obasanjo. we're also aware as regards the issue of third term in Broglu, which he came up of recent in one of his interviews with one radio station in UK. I don't want to mention it so that it won't be as if I'm advertising, you know.
It's fine.
Yeah. I followed that interview, and the whole thing came up, and it was now look at all the retinue of people that were to contest. People that were to contest. You can even feel their brilliance. But what happened at the end of the day?
Dr. Kayode, let me butt into your line of thought now. The issue is, I want you to land on your thought. Is it, what level of responsibility should people like Obasanjo and Danjuma take? Because they're the ones complaining now. They had the opportunity, they had Nigeria on a platter of gold.
That's what I was trying to explain to you. The way they are now,
blocks.
the way they are now, they are old men. They are old men. When they had the opportunity, they did not use it. Because we will have gotten better people in government than now. Let them just sit back a little bit, not being heard loudly, and let us see how we can manage ourselves to the shore.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kayode. Let's move over to our brothers in diaspora. Sure, I want to come to you now. I want you to look at Obasanjo. Is it possible to look at Obasanjo as Nigeria's Winston Churchill, who was, first of all, a military leader and later a prime minister of UK? Sure, are you there? Okay, we seem to be having a network glitch there. So I'll come back to you. Do you see Obasanjo as Nigeria's Winston Churchill? Some people have said that.
No. Because when you look at the achievements, activities of Winston Churchill in United Kingdom, you cannot compare it to that of Baba Obasanjo.
Given our years of history,
yes,
people believe that Obasanjo made progress. He handed over to a civilian government. He became a civilian president. He brought in telecoms to Nigeria, brought in the EFCC. ICPC was there. He was the one that also brought in ICPC in 1976.
I will tell you this. In Yoruba, and I will interpret it for you. Kò sí bí oúnjẹ yẹn á ṣe dùn tó tí gbẹ kékeré bá ti wà létí àwo ó ti bà oúnjẹ yẹn jẹ́. That is, there is no sweetness in a plate of food that is having a little bit of feces on top of it. Do you agree with that?
Of course.
Will you be able to eat that food? No. You know the problem we had with Baba Obasanjo, despite the father, yes, he was doing this, he was doing that, because he couldn't give us a successor that will continue along his lines of development.
Should Obasanjo be the one to give Nigerians
He didn't allow it.
Nigerians should give themselves a successor.
Baba did not allow it. He picked up. People were saying Yar'Adua was ill. I love Yar'Adua. He was not saying Yar'Adua was in the hospital. Umaru, are you healed? I mean, is that, listen, my brother.
Dr. Kayode, Obasanjo propped up Yar'Adua. Was it Obasanjo that led Nigerians by the nose to the polling booths and said, vote for Yar'Adua?
With that kind of election that we were having then, all those Agberoish election, all those elections that are not credible, all those elections that are not free and fair, all those elections that somebody can say, listen, I'm going to win that polling unit, and they will just write it, and they will give it to somebody to read. Is that an election? He never allowed a good successor to continue, but he was looking for a yes man that can always call upon and say, look here, do it this way. No, he never allowed. Can you imagine the caliber of candidates we were having then? You remember? Array of them, and then you just went to bring somebody that was not even ready to become the president. You prop him up, and then you went to bring another person.
For the period that the man was president, he made progress.
Definitely yes.
So?
Listen, definitely yes. But was the man able to continue?
He
already knew.
His vice continued.
And that was why he went to bring somebody he can always control. And at the end of the day, initially he was. Not until when Baba Edwin Clark now came in. Because that guy, Jonathan was from the South, and they now called him to order. Listen to your own kinsmen. Listen to your own kinsmen. And that was where their fight begins. Their fight started from there. Because he thought, yes, I'm bringing Yaradua from the north to assuage the north so that they can vote for Yaradua. Knowing fully well that the health condition of Yaradua is known to him. Because as the first security man of the country, he knows everything. He now brought the other person that he knows will take over from him, and then he becomes his yes man.
Dr. Kayode, let's talk a bit about Obasanjo's third-term agenda. I've heard a couple of Nigerians say, why didn't you give Obasanjo a third term?
Is it constitutional?
And I said, why? I asked why. It's not constitutional, but they wanted to. That was why somebody else was saying, listen, we have to go accordingly. That was why somebody like Atiku sacrificed his relationship with him and said, no, this cannot go. This is not constitutional. This is not what should be. And he moved against him. Until today, he's still hunting him. All right, thanks, Dr. Dyer. Sure, I want to ask you one very important question. Sure, how will you liken Obasanjo to a Winston Churchill? You live in the UK.
What we have is just that they have institutions that check them, institutions that are built by their forebearers. If you leave these current ones to imagine Trump as the president of Nigeria with that much power, and he has Akpabio as his secretary.
He's calling you.
Sure, can you hear me?
Tell him I declined the call.
Hello, sure. All right, Flagship, let me come to you. Flagship, you have... Hello. All right, sorry for that technical hitch. We seem to be having a hitch. I'll come back to you, Dr. Dayo. Dr. Dayo, people that said Obasanjo should have a third term is because, according to them, 2 years is not long enough to make impact. Considering our level of development.
2 years or 2 terms?
Sorry, 2 terms. Considering our level of development. They cite the issue of Angela Merkel, who spent 16 years, and everybody knows what she did to Germany. They talk about Lee Kuan Yew, who spent 31 years. They talk about, what's his name again? Mohandra in India, who has done 12 years.
But talk about Chairman Mao.
No, they are giving.
Talk about I want to give insight of Chairman Mao. How many years did Chairman Mao use to turn the whole place around?
No, turn around?
Yes, Chairman Mao.
How long was that?
8 years. 8 years.
Mao Zedong?
Sure.
No, you're talking about a different person. Mao Zedong is different from Chairman Mao.
No. I'm talking of Chairman in China.
Yes. You're talking about Mao Zedong.
Yes.
He's not Chairman Mao. Chairman Mao is a song.
Mao Zedong.
No, they are two different people. Anyway, let's leave that for now.
Now, let me come into this. Let me come to these 8 years. I will analyze it for you. Even 4 years is enough for anybody to do something meaningful. Even 4 years. And I'll tell you this. Number one, control your currency. Are you with me? Defend your currency against other currencies. That's number one. Does it take you years to do that? No. Number two, ensure that your refineries are working well. Does it take years to do that? No. Ensure that you have power supply to your people at least 15 hours a day. Is that hard to do? The moment you can do that, every other thing will fall in place.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dayo, for your very wonderful thought. We'll now go for a short break. And when we come back, we'll look at Nigeria's inclusion as a partner to Brics and others. Stay with us.
Are you ready to connect with distinguished Nigerians around the world? The Diaspora Perspective is here to share the views of Nigerians in the diaspora on burning issues.
From the street of New York, the royal cities of London, and the bustling cities of Europe, Voice of the People Television brings to you a roundtable and collage of interesting views from Nigerians in diaspora.
Join the host of the show and some Nigerians in diaspora, Dr. Damages, the flagship, show, and KJ, as they discuss the experiences, challenges, and triumphs of Nigerians living abroad.
Discussing and analyzing everything from politics, culture, policies, career success, and how Nigerians are staying connected to their roots. Showing every Saturday by 2 p.m. West African Time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The Diaspora Perspective, giving a voice to Nigerians abroad. From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries. Voice of the People.
All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We've been joined in the studio by Mazi Ikechukwu Mbalwe. Mazi Mbalwe is an architect. Mazi Ikechukwu Mbelu. Mazi Ikechukwu Mbelu is an architect, is a town planner, and served as former commissioner for planning in Houghton County, Houghton City rather, in California in the United States of America. Mazi Ikechukwu, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
We still have in the studio Dr. Dayo Kayode and
well, Doctor.
Virtually, Dr. Damages, Show, Flagship, and KJ. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us. Now, the economic bloc, BRICS, an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, and China and South Africa, has expanded, adding 13 partner countries, including Nigeria, in a push for greater global influence. Announced at the 2024 Kazan Summit, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Eche Abuobe, on Thursday confirmed Nigeria's membership and its intention to join BRICS as a full member within the next 2 years, leveraging on its large economy and population. Other new partners are Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Thailand, Turkey, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. BRICS, originally an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, and China, expanded in 2010 to include South Africa to make it BRICS. However, the Hausa language and Nigerian flag take center stage, proudly displayed on the soon-to-be unveiled BRICS currency, symbolizing Nigeria's influential presence in the global alliance. But this has sparked controversy among Nigerians, especially the use of Hausa language, which is not a national language. Dr. Mbalu, let me come to you. Mbelu, sorry again, sorry. Nigeria wants to be a partner member of BRICS.
Yes.
Do you think we have the capacity to play in that league, considering that the current members, China, Brazil, India, Russia, and South Africa, their GDP toward far above of Nigeria, You recall that Nigeria used to be Africa's leading economy, but we declined to the 4th position. What impact do you think membership of BRICS will bring to Nigeria?
Well, when you look at what the new administration is doing, I think there's a potential, if they continue in the same stride, that we will eventually come out of this, hole we are in. And that will place us right where the BRICS, into the BRICS affair. If it continues to slip, we will just be a placeholder.
Are you talking about the economic reforms of this country?
Yeah, the economic reform of this country.
You are impressed with what they're doing?
Right now, from what the president is doing, I would say yes. Okay? However, I cannot fully categorically say yes that everything he's done is correct, especially when it comes to subsidy removal from day one without thinking it through. Okay? Again, floating the currency, to have a free fall, that is not the right decision at the time. Because you cannot float the currency when you're a consuming nation. We're not a productive nation. We don't produce anything.
Surprisingly, these two policies have brought untold hardship on Nigeria.
Very, very.
And is that the way to go?
No.
So which aspect does he like in it?
Yeah.
Because you say you like what the administration
it will
is doing,
eventually
so
work.
which one do you now like in it? Because those are the two things that are causing excruciating pains on the people.
That is a shock. It is a shock in the system because we are used to everything coming to us. We fly anywhere we want in the world. We buy, we buy anything we want. Maybe we have to rethink. Can we start producing? And stop every time leapfrogging and going to Japan, China, America, everything. But that might pull you back. Vietnam did that. China did that. The only thing China did that we couldn't do was to close our doors and focus within ourselves. But is it a good policy? Today it is not. But what might happen is that people might look in and say, okay, I don't have to go to China to buy toothpick. I can, like we did as kids, go back and pick up that broom and, get a toothpick out of it. So that might make us refocus. It's not the best thing. Right now, everybody's hungry. But you can do it by opening the door and said, let's keep on going. The way we are going, we are bound to go down completely.
Well, Mazimbeli, you seem to be seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Dr. Dayo has been shaking his head. Hold on to your thoughts. I will come back to you. Now, let's move over to the people in diaspora. Dr. Damages, Nigeria wants to be a member of BRICS in the next 2 years. We've already achieved the partner status with other nations. Do you think that Nigeria's membership of BRICS will bring anything to us, considering our policies, the current policies that Nigeria is implementing? Is it possible that with these policies, we'll grow our economy to level up with other members of BRICS?
I am not sure Nigeria wants to be. Nobody was there representing Nigeria at the meeting. I think whatever happened probably happened when Buhari was president. I don't see Tinubu joining the BRICS. Now, if you read Project 2025, which is what they hope to implement if Trump becomes the president. In that project, when they talked about Africa, they set up idea how to make South Africa pay a price for joining BRICS. They are saying that under Trump, African countries will have to choose what side they want to belong. If you want to go with Russia and China, you go there and you won't benefit from things that America offers to the world. So under Tinubu, I'm not sure Nigeria is interested in joining the BRICS.
Dr. Damages, we already have Nigeria's currency, designed into the BRICS currency that is supposed to be unveiled in the coming months.
that's just a prototype. I don't think that part of what you're seeing is international diplomacy and propaganda in place. If Nigeria is actually interested in being there, joining them, Nigeria will be represented at a high level. But nothing like that happened. Nigeria is scared. They are scared of going against France, against America, at least Nigeria under Tinubu. So I'm not expecting that to happen under President Tinubu.
All right, flagship. The guest in the studio here, Dr. Mazi Ikechukwu, said that the economic reform policies of the present administration, it's a shock that will take Nigeria to a better place in the future. Do you agree with him?
Currently, from what we are seeing, it doesn't seem like it's in any way benefiting the people or going to take Nigeria out of where we are. Take a look at what is being done and what it translates to actually in the lives of the everyday Nigerian citizen. How do you think that this is going to benefit Nigeria for the people of Nigeria? It may benefit Nigeria for its international customers or those that are interested in whatever it is that they are getting from Nigeria internationally. But as far as the people of Nigeria, these economic reforms, it's not helping. Look at our financial institution, our agricultural institution. These two main aspects of our Nigerian body as it is are not in any way benefiting the people, not even businesses. So you tell me, as an entrepreneur, I look at the whole economic and financial reforms and policies that they have, and I do not see how it's going to in any way lift Nigeria and put them in a better trajectory. If they keep this trajectory on, like the IMF was advising the Tinubu administration to do, I don't think it would take 15 years. Nigeria may be barely up in about 5, maybe 10 years from now, because there is nothing that is accessible by the nation. And the strength of any great economy, look at the first worlds all around the globe. The strength of these countries are the middle class, small businesses that hold them and sustain them and make them the beauty of the world as it is. Does Nigeria have this? No. Its people and business owners cannot access finance to fund their businesses and keep it going. So keeping the trajectory as it is will only tighten the string that's on the neck of Nigerians and in no way make it better. So I differ in that opinion.
All right, thanks, flagship. Now, sure, let me come to you. Dr. Damages said, you heard him, that Nigeria is not ready to be a member of Brics. And now the question is, peradventure, in the next 2 years, and by any means, Nigeria now ascends to Brics. Do you think that our membership, Nigeria's membership of Brics, will bring any kind of economic opportunities to Nigeria? Considering that, one, Nigeria is not a member of G7, is not a member of G20, and you see some of the members of these Brics also playing along the G20 in particular.
Thank you. Well, it depends on the political will of the leadership of Nigeria. So anything is possible. You see, so being a member of Brics is a good thing on paper. The benefit of being part of Brics would the leadership of the Nigerian political elites, the people representing us, will they let it trickle down to the average citizen in Nigeria? Because we belong to so many other organizations as of today, but what benefit has it brought to Nigeria? We're friends with the US, we're friends with the UK, we're friends with Canada, we're friends. I mean, the president has been in 17 countries since he took over. Buhari traveled everywhere when he was there. President Obasanjo was all over the place. What succor has this relationships brought to Nigeria? So it depends on the political will of the leadership of Nigeria. It could be very beneficial. It could help us in more ways than one, but it would all depend on what the leadership of Nigeria want for Nigerians and also what Nigerians allow to be done to them.
All right, KJ, there's a prototype currency that Brics is going to unveil in the coming months. It includes the currencies of and names of many member countries and partner countries. Nigeria is one of them. And in that currency, Nigerian flag is boldly displayed there with Hausa language written beside Nigeria. when suddenly did the Hausa language become our national language? And because a couple of Nigerians, many Nigerians have reacted, does it look like the people that did that are trying to fly a kite? Or what is your take on that?
Thank you so much. And, I also want to align with Dr. Rudolph on this issue. I think the currency so far, the one displayed is a prototype, may not necessarily be what will be used at the final, print. However, it beats my imagination because I had to read over and over to try to understand why, even if nobody was representing Nigeria, the lingua franca of Nigeria is English language. And so I don't understand how Hausa, got to get into that. So I decided to, pacify myself by saying maybe they couldn't spell Nigeria properly in English, so it was written in that way. But here is what I will say: we Nigerians have been docile for a long time, and even the Hausa language has somehow been trying to become a lingua franca of Nigeria, above the English language. If you remember, the former Minister of Justice, Malami, addressed Nigeria for over 30 minutes in Hausa when they, adopted Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya, and nobody raised any, objection. The MBA didn't go to court. The other tribes and regions of Nigeria didn't ask a question: why was this national broadcast done in Hausa language? So this thing has been long coming. If you also go back a little bit, you find out that it is also the Hausa Fulanis that have their own national radio broadcast, long before any other tribe in Nigeria started getting it. And so this thing has been coming a long way. It is high time that those who are in position to ask questions should start asking the pertinent question. Because, now small, the monkey hand will turn to human hand. We should take off this monkey's hand from the, jar before it becomes something else. And I think it is now we ask that question. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, KJ. Now let's come back to the studio. Dr. Kayede, you were shaking your head and you wanted to react to Mazi Mbelu's submission about the economic reform policies of this administration.
I wouldn't want to react to his submission because we all have different perspectives that we use to analyze issues. Okay. Where the whole thing is turning to him is different from where it's turning to me.
Okay, so what do you
now,
think of economic reform policies?
The issue is this. When you are talking about economic reform, because the only thing that is constant is change. Are you bringing that reform to ensure meaningful standard of living for the people, or you are bringing that particular reform to strengthen your own interests? It could be so. Do you understand? But
what do you mean by your own interest? Personal interest.
I'm talking
national interest.
Personal interest. When I'm talking of national, I've talked about national interest. That is meaningful living standard for the people. Okay. Now, when you look at so many issues that have been coming up on this particular concept of fuel subsidy removal, are you aware of the shares of NNPC being sold out and who is being sold to? Are you aware of the issue of Malta, the refinery in Malta, and who owns a particular share in that? Are you also aware of the expressway from Lagos to Calabar? Who is the contractor handling it, and who has interest in it? So we need to put all these things together.
When you talk about shares of the NNPCL, has NNPCL gone public? Or you are talking about the liability shares?
There are some shares being sold out to a particular company. All right? A particular company that generated controversy about 2-3 months ago.
they didn't sell shares. They merely acquired the distribution arm of the NNPCL.
Is it not?
Does that amount to selling shares?
Is that not an arm? When an arm is being ceded to a particular company, if it's not ceded, is it not supposed to be part of NNPC? Now that it's being ceded, is this part of NNPC? So who was that one ceded to? And even look at that particular department that was ceded out. Do you understand? These are issues. And that is why I am saying this. When you are looking at a change, that policy, is it for the people? Because people are now hungry. Excuse me, what is the big deal? What is the big deal in seeing petrol, PMS, as a socio-economic product? Socio-economic product in terms of, yes, you make profit, but that profit you are making should not overshadow the social amenity there for the people. I will tell you this because, sorry sir, I will tell you this because that thing was given to us by nature. It's just like you, sir, having a building like this, and then at the back of your house, you are having a yam plantation. When you are harvesting your plantation, will the market price in my two or Oja affect your consumption and your children's consumption of that product that belongs to you as a family?
Dr. Dayo, when you talk about social policies, I know you are talking about removal of policy on petroleum. President Tinubu wasn't the first person. Jonathan tried it. Buhari tried it. And now we have a president who has taken the courage to say, enough of this. Wasn't it time? Even presidential candidate Peter Obi said, subsidy will not last a day longer.
I will answer you twofold.
So wasn't it right for the president to have removed fuel subsidy? At the time he did.
I will answer you twofold.
Quickly.
The first one. What is even subsidy?
Corruption.
Subsidy in real terms. Subsidy has to do, especially when it concerns this PMS, has to do with the excess that the government is paying beyond the cost of bringing it in to the amount that they be selling it at the filling stations. Are you with me?
Yes.
Now the question is this. Have you been able to calculate how much it costs to bring this product into Nigeria and how much profit it is on it for you to be able to determine the level of subsidy? That is one. Number two, I was talking about DSDP policy the other time, direct supply, direct purchase policy of NNPC. Okay? That is to say that if you are taking 50 cl of crude from point A to point B to go and refine, you are taking it to you on FOB. And I'm now saying, and then the value, let's assume the value of that 50 cl is $10. Okay? And I'm now saying refine this for me. And I transported it to you free on board. All right, after the refining, when you refine, you know you are not getting only PMS. You are getting PMS, you are getting diesel, you are getting ADO, you are getting this, you are getting that, almost 13 derivatives. And I say, okay, give me 50 cl. We want to educate ourselves. 50 cl of PMS on this. FOB again, back here. Sir, number one, all those other derivatives, where are they? Have you been asking questions about it? And for your information, the sales of all those things can be enough to even, you will see more profit on it, for you to even be giving us PMS free of charge in Nigeria. So we have been deceiving ourselves.
Dr. Daya, I want us to concentrate on subsidy.
That is what I just explained to you. That's what I just explained to you.
No, I want the average listener to understand, look, subsidy should remain or subsidy should have gone.
Even in the first instance, what I'm trying to say in the first instance is Where is that subsidy? That is why I decided to go through all those routes.
There was no payment of subsidy?
Payment of subsidy to who? Where is that? 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 Fuel for subsidy. Where is it going to?
You wanted to say something.
You
subsidy because we are pressed with time.
If you go back to my early statements, the shock.
Okay.
Everybody goes back to the same thing. I listen to everybody talk about here. The shock. And I am saying, let's refocus. Everything you analyze here, doctor, you're talking about imports, exports. While somebody in Bonny, somebody in Port Harcourt is producing the same thing, supplying it, but you are sending soldiers to kill them.
Yes.
Right? Okay, now let's forget about the illegal ones. Let's go back to Dangote. He is now internally producing it.
Yes.
That goes back. Let's refocus. Because when we refocus in this country, we can do a lot.
All right.
A lot.
Refocus. I think the word
refocus.
We have to move on because we are pressed.
And then also, sir, mind you 1 second. Mind you, when this one is saying it was going to remove subsidy, they were having different strategies of removing subsidy. Because if we are going to Igbo market from this place, there are so many routes from here to Igbo. Okay? So we shouldn't just lump them up. It's just because of time. I will have explained that of Atiku for you, that of Obi for you. The two of them, I studied them.
Dr.
Now they were to remove that subsidy.
I have to bring you to the studio another time so that we can talk more on this. We have to move on now. Now, the Federal Executive Council has approved $618 million loan for a new fighter jet and ammunition for the Nigerian Air Force, alongside 740 billion naira budget for road projects, including the Abuja-Kano route. Additional approvals include a creative economy fund, enabling creatives to leverage intellectual property as collateral, and an agreement to end double taxation with Hong Kong and Botswana. The Council has also approved contracts for Nigerian customs and announced further infrastructure upgrades, with Shagamu-Benin Road set for full reconstruction. Dr. Damages, I'll come straight to you. We see another approval of $680 million loan for 6 new fighter jets and ammunition for Nigerian Air Force. My direct question would be, the fight against insecurity, should it be about Tucano jets, fighters, ammunition, and all of that? What happens to looking at the root cause of insecurity and take it off at the root?
It's a given. I mean, it's something that you expect. The first thing is really, have we assessed how far the ones we bought, how much did they accomplish the goal we set for ourselves? Are things better because of the $1 billion we borrowed in the past to get arms and buy jets? What assessment have anybody made? The assessments are not clear to me that they are working well. I think we haven't done enough in human intelligence. We haven't done enough in trying to deal with the core issues underneath the insecurity. Until we deal with that, I think this money, borrowing money to buy more fighter jets and do construction of roads without dealing with internal issues, that the security is more than just physical arms and the military going around shooting people. It's also about the security of the life and economic security of people. It's about the border, how people are moving in and out of the country. If we don't do things about these things and we think that we are buying arms and that's what we solve the problem, we are wasting our time. And I blame really the National Assembly, the way they approve loans for this government, without asking questions about what the ones they approved, what they were used for. And the Nigerian people who were still in that military mentality, and we think that anything to do with military is the solution to our problem. You know, you see people on the streets of the country recently begging the military to come back because they are frustrated and they think that's the way to go. It's not the way to go. Democracy is difficult. The difficult concept anywhere in the world. But for a country like Nigeria, we have to keep insisting on the best practice, but we are not, and that's what is frustrating to me. And we have people who claim to have gone to school in the West, in the UK, in the United States, and other parts of the world. And they are in the country, they are running the country, but they didn't learn a single thing from wherever they went to school. It's quite frustrating.
All right, thanks, Dr. Damages. KJ, please permit me to put you on the spot. I want to make you the Minister of Defense for Nigeria. What are the immediate things you will do to fight insecurity? Will you go about buying jets and all of those?
If I become the Minister of Defense, why will I have to use jets to shoot down my people? When we talk about this insecurity, it's the people. It's the government that have allowed this thing to fester. It is always been that way. Because if you ask me, having been a good geography student, I haven't known the terrain of Nigeria. I don't know any very mighty forest in the north called Sambisa Forest that cannot be seen from the air. And these guys are there receiving money and making phone calls and posting Instagram videos. And the military, the same Nigerian military that was able to rescue Sierra Leone and Liberia and have fought in many of the parts of the world and come back, as being celebrated, not able to deal with a ragtag army. That beats my imagination. And by the way, I went to my secondary school was the army barracks. So I know some of these who know what the history of the army is much more than an ordinary person. Okay, so it beats my imagination that those same people, these generals who have heard of what they've done, cannot be able to bring down this, the small, unorganized, army going on in the north. So first and foremost, we should be able to, call a spade a spade. Is it terrorism? Is it, and all that? Let's call it what it is. And then when we give it the right name, we can now go about it. The Nigerian army can do much better, using the locals, just like they did in the earlier days of Boko Haram, to use locals to understand the terrain, just in case they don't have a handle of it. And that can be totally resolved. And like Dr. Rudolph said, if you've been using this style for so many years and it's not working, it is time to change style. And changing style is not borrowing more money to buy, jets and.
All right, thanks, KJ. Flagship, sorry, let me come to you. KJ said something about localizing the fight against insecurity. We have a regional security outfit in Southwest known as Amoteku. And by a lot of people's estimation, they have done so well in ensuring that that the insecurity in the Southwest is gone down drastically. What does that tell you about our inability to assent to the issue of state police? And isn't it time that we should concentrate efforts talking about how to bring about state police, especially this present government, before it came into power, the APC government, before they came into power, were all mounting pressure on the previous regimes to establish state police. Unfortunately, since they came into power, the whole issue of state police is at the back door.
Well, the truth about it is the answer to Nigeria's insecurity problem, in my opinion, is state policing. And that is every community forming its own security to defend itself against invaders. And Amoteku in the Southwest have shown a very good and productive example of how to go about securing their communities. The question now is, why are the leaders or those that are in charge of maintaining the security of the nation not consulting with these people to figure out how they are doing it and why it is working? I think the clear answer is in leadership. The supporters and quote unquote alleged.
All right, we seem to be having a glitch there. Sure, I want to come to you. Sure, are you there? All right, Mazimbelwe, let me come to you. Yes. we are approving a $618 million loan for the purchase of Tucano jets, fighter jets, and military equipment and ammunition. Let me go back a little bit to history. In 1965, Nigerian government established DICON, Defense Industries Corporation, essentially to produce arms and ammunition for local use and possibly export to West Africa and other parts of Africa. In 1969, Brazil established an equivalent institution, the Embraer. At last count in July, Embraer supplied its sixth commercial, and they have done more than that in agricultural aviation. Yes. We don't even talk about APCs, we don't talk about ammunition, guns, rifles, and all of that. Where does that leave Nigeria? Should we be talking about giving $618 million loan for purchase of ammunition? Meanwhile, a certain $2 billion was given to a national security advisor. Up until this moment, we cannot account for it.
Again, it goes back to lack of focus in the country. We never had a consistent government policy. Every government comes in with their own system. They never tailgate on the last administration. In US, you can never do that. Even if that policy is wrong, you have to look at how.
Look at Obamacare.
Yes, modify it, tune it, fine tune it, and move on with it. All we do here, even in the construction industry, they scrap it. Only in Nigeria do you see two roads next to each other. Different administration. So you talked about it. I knew about that system when they had it. By now, Nigeria is supposed to be producing planes, jets, producing their own guns, bullets. What is it to produce a gun? Oka can produce a gun, but the government cannot produce a gun. Okay? What are we doing?
So why can't we leverage on the talents, the creativity of our people? You just said something about Oka producing guns. Yes. Is it not possible for the government to invest on that, expand it, and make it a national asset?
I gave you an example.
Production center.
I talked about people that were, they call them, they were doing bunkering in the river states, producing crude. You are ready to float a tanker all the way to whatever to bring you crude oil, but you're ready to shoot up the people here producing it. How did we survive in Biafra? Let me put it on the table. Did we import it? No, we produced it. Nigeria can produce it, but Nigeria loves, and when I said we need a shock, let me let it clear. Nigeria would rather import this than patronize you who imports, who can produce it.
Industry motor.
Dr. Kayode, I'm sorry, Maz. I'm happy that you have mentioned Innocent Motors. Now, I want you to build some kind of nexus between DICON's failure, the failure of a Jokuta steel and a larger steel mill, and the fact that the government cannot even make a place like Innocent a national asset, buy into it, expand it. Like we see in other places, like in China, what they did with Huawei and other private entities that were commercialized and became national, that have this kind of, became national entities in the interest of the people.
Now, let me quickly chip in for 10 seconds on that security that we started all this.
No, I want link everything.
Yeah.
Link everything.
You see, Amanpo of CNN said, any government that cannot kill any insurgent should be seen as an accomplice.
Christian Amanpo.
Yeah.
Amanpo. Now, look at it. We heard of stories in this country whereby a particular aircraft was dropping water, food, and all that for terrorists in the bush. Thank God you are a presenter, then you are a journalist, you have read about it. Is it you or me or you that has that temerity to do that?
Somebody's there.
Now, you see, this thing is a problem Not only in Nigeria, in Africa. But it's unfortunate that Nigeria is being focused on. And it's not also unfortunate because Nelson Mandela has said it, that the whole world is waiting for the emergence of Africa. But not until when Nigeria gets its act right, Africans and Africa will still be at the lowest ends. What am I saying here? Look at Brazil you mentioned. Look at Brazil you mentioned. To compare with that of Nigeria. Because along the line, they had a president, a leader that has that will, and is not selfish. The will, not the will of self, but the will of the people, without any traces of hedonistic and profligatic tendencies, unlike our leaders here. Self-centered. Me. The president. Don't let me say, so that I won't be as if I'm...
Exactly.
So, now the issue is this. The issue is this. We have sort of developed some kind of unsavory attitude towards ourselves. I was at Computer Village 2 years ago, and I saw a small Igbo boy, about 18, driving a miniature car made by himself. Okay? Look, go to the east. You will see all these, they call it, what do they call it? Illegal refinery. And then we go there, destroy it. I was always on different platforms discussing it. I said, for goodness sake, yes, they are illegal. No doubt about it. You can easily, will you say because this thing is not needed here, you now break this table? For this table to be functional, you remove it. And then the table will be functional. What is it making it to be illegal? Remove the illegality and start with legal. These guys are doing these things with their own training. Train them the more. Because already they have that trait. They have that inbuilt. They have that inside. It's inside of them.
Dr. Kayode, some people some people complain that this illegal refinery,
yes,
so to say,
they are stealing crude.
Not just stealing crude, but they are also producing adulterated products.
Now listen. What is it making it to be adulterated? That's why I said remove that illegality. Now the adulterated products, are they useful or not? Have they been using it or not? They have been using it. So all you now need to do is move in there, acquire that thing.
Train them.
Improve the facilities. But you know why it will not happen? Two things. Because we don't love ourselves. We still see, I don't have any affiliation with the Igbos, but I like saying the truth. Just as I was saying the other time, as regards Nwosu from the east. We still see the Igbos. If we see them as not part of us, then let them go if they say they want to go. But if you want them to remain, treat them accordingly. Why is it that the president will go and buy that, what's the name of that his vehicle again? Escalade. And you cannot tell Unosi to produce such a vehicle for you to use. For goodness sake, for crying out loud. Why is it? Don't stop me because I'm not in my element.
Sorry,
state government.
Can he not produce an armored vehicle?
Why not?
Why not?
If you can produce it, you can produce it.
Listen, even if he cannot produce it, empower him to produce it. Because he has already stayed on that trajectory. He is already on that line. All these ones that are called world champions, did they become world champion in a day? No, tell me.
What was Taiwan
called? Did they become? Look at what happened to Singapore when he was being carried out of that place. He said, "Okay, you say we can't do nothing. We show you we can do it," and they started training themselves. Look at Singapore today. Singapore, the president came here one day and won't give him Papkane. Now look at them. When it comes to to palm oil. So what I'm saying in essence is this. The National Assembly, let them give contract to innocent. Yes, he's a human being too. He might want to, one way or the other, but then there are institutions there to control it. Let us be exporting. We say we are giant of Africa. We control ECOWAS. We control AU. Imagine that guy turning out vehicles to all these areas, and you cannot quantify the amount of economic resources that be coming out from that place. Then the people in Lagos, the Igbos in Lagos that you are saying should go away, some of them will go back there. You go back there, you see some Yorubas too, who knows trading. Yes. We also go there. But when you are bastardizing the place, because of one single person, you are carrying an operation, whatever, I don't know what they say they are doing there. It's nonsense. I won't believe in that. It should be scrapped. The Igbos should be seen as an integral part of Nigeria. They will say the Igbos are this, the Igbos are that. Yes, there is nobody that doesn't have his or her own idiosyncrasies. Look at the way he talks gently. But me, I don't talk gently. Because I talk with full passion. That doesn't mean he doesn't talk with full passion. That's the way he can express himself. What I'm saying in essence is this. For there to be security in this country, it is not about buying to Kano jet. It is not that our military, they don't have intelligence. But the president himself should change his philosophy. Matawali, I don't know why Matawali is this there. Whether right or wrong, it had been alleged. There is no smoke without fire. Remove him. Then I'll be fair.
Should he have excused himself from office?
Even excuse himself from office. Have you not seen it before? Have you not seen such happening in outside this country before? What stops him from leaving the office? I'm being alleged of this. In fact, that means I don't have any respect again. You leave. When you leave, people will not respect you. They will say, no, this guy doesn't, whatever.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Thanks for those wonderful thoughts. We seem to be having a technical glitch that has cut off the diaspora guest. But the tech team is working very hard to. All right, I understand that they are back now. Oh, well, the diaspora team, I don't know how much you lost when we had that glitch, but we were talking about insecurity. Oh, well, you have your time when we give us your final thoughts so that you can chime in a little bit on the issue of insecurity and the fact that we have $680 million loan approved by the Federal Executive Council for the purchase of ammunition to fight insecurity. Now, let's move on to the last topic because we are pressed with time. Senior Advocate Olisa Abakoba has called out the EFCC as unconstitutionally established, urging the National Assembly to address structural issues within Nigeria's anti-corruption agencies. In letters to the Senate and the House of Representatives, he argued that the EFCC's establishment overreached the National Assembly's powers, labeling it unlawful. Abakoba comments states that have challenged the EFCC's constitutionality and called for urgent reforms to unify the law enforcement efforts against corruption, which he says currently operates at odds.
You see, I think Olisa Abakoba is saying is now a professor or a doctor
of law, professor of law.
So I will not necessarily want to challenge whatever I might have said, but from my own knowledge and understanding of the Nigerian system and a societal system, National Assembly are to make laws, while the judiciary is to interpret. And I want to believe, and I think I know, that when EFCC was created, it was created with an act of parliament. Right? Act of parliament. Are we now saying if EFCC, which was created by an act of parliament, is illegal, then other creations through acts of parliament are also illegal. So sometimes we need to look at why some things are happening. Okay? Peradventure, EFCC have been able to deal with some cases as regards embezzlement of some political office holders.
Dr. Kayode, I'll give you time to talk about this when you give us your final thoughts. Let's move over to the diaspora audience. Sorry, the diaspora guest. Now, Dr. Damages, you have heard what Olisa Abakoba said. Let's take for granted that EFCC is unconstitutional. We are taking for granted. We are not saying so. Now, how will it was established in 2003 or so by President Olusegun Obasanjo. And that's about through an act of parliament, according to Dr. Kayode. Now, that's 21 years. Whether it was constitutionally established or not, how will you assess the effectiveness of EFCC in the past 21 years as an anti-graft agency?
Of course, we know that it hasn't done its work. It hasn't fulfilled the mission as written. The fact that we have, I can mention 40 cases, high-profile cases that are in limbo, essentially no conclusion, and that doesn't give confidence to Nigerians. It doesn't give confidence to international community. It's more like a joke when you say EFCC and corruption. There was a story of an African country coming to Nigeria to learn how to deal with corruption in their country, and that was like funny to the international media. The perception is not good. They haven't done their job, and that should worry people who sign up to be part of that EFCC. It should worry the government of Nigeria that goes abroad, especially when they come to the United Nations here in New York, and say that they are doing something about corruption. We haven't done a good job, and there is no reason why. I'm surprised really that it took this long for Abakowa to figure out that EFCC is not legal. Probably, I'm not sure, probably he has gone to defend somebody before in a court where the EFCC is charging someone. But the point is that our law system and the judicial system, it's not really about what is written. It's about not being willing to fulfill the mission. Look at the current EFCC chairman that said, if I don't do anything about the Kogi former governor, Yaya Bello, I'm going to resign. He's still there. Bello is still missing. I don't know where he is. People just say anything. There's nobody holding people accountable, even to the things that they swore to do. This is their job, or the things they say. And that's where the problem is. We don't have a system of holding people accountable. It's not really about whether something is legal or not. It's when we decide as a nation we want to stop corruption, and we have this body that should help to do that. And this is the assignment for the body. There's no way to assess whether they're doing well. The people in charge of that are not doing that in everything, not just about EFCC. So we have to go back to the fundamentals. And it's not difficult. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. All we have to do is to say, this is what we agreed to do, and we're going to do it to the best of our knowledge, the best practice that is out there, the way they do it in Ghana, the way they do it in Kenya, the way they do it. We don't have to go to the Western world to see examples of where things are done better. There's no excuse, but we give excuses.
All right, good. Thanks, Dr. Damages. Now, KJ, let me come to you. KJ, we have 19 governors. I understand that 3 of them have dropped out. Mm-hmm. We have 16 governors that are challenging the constitutionality of the EFCC at the Supreme Court. How does that rub off on the value of the EFCC as an anti-corruption agency? You'll understand that many governors, former governors, are undergoing investigation by the EFCC. More than 20-30% of these people also serve in the Nigerian Senate. Is that corruption fighting back?
Thank you so much for the question. And I'd like to align with my Oga, Dr. Damages. No, EFCC have performed, they've been able to, they perform right from the inception. They have, they've arrested Yahoo boys. They have been able to, pursue and do media trials of everybody they have caught, and then eventually, after 2 weeks at the end, they were also able to climb through the roof of Rochas Okorocha to, to arrest him from the roof and all that.
KJ, I don't know you as a satirist. It's Dr. Damages that I know is a satirist.
Okay, so let me
when you say things like this, I don't know what you want us to believe.
Now, these people are not serious. I'm serious. Yes, the withdrawal of some of the states is only because probably they are afraid that if they lose the case, the EFCC will come after them. But just like Rudolph said, Dr. Orusa Bakuba is somebody I respect. So those are some of the people who have who should be the owners and the those who should support what should be right. The truth is, nobody listens to the law in Nigeria. Not even the lawyers themselves hold themselves accountable, or the courts when rulings are made. Nobody follows it up. The court don't follow it up. The people who are a lawyer once told me that going to get conviction for somebody just a waste of time, because at the end, if they even award you penalty, nobody follows up to make sure it's paid.
All right.
We just have to deal with that, and the government has to first know that it's not law in the country does not start and end with what the president says or does not say. It should be applied across board, and that is what I think should be done. The EFCC can be more effective if they decide not to follow the dictates of the person who has appointed them.
All right, thanks, KJ. Sure, can we have your quick comment and concluding thoughts on any of the issues that we talked about?
I think she is not around.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, gentlemen. Let's come back to the studio. Mazi, your quick take on EFCC being unconstitutional. And by the way, you served as commissioner in Hawthorne City,
of Hawthorne, California.
In California. How do you people manage the issue of corruption and all of that? Can you help the listener at home understand?
In terms of corruption, I listened to some of the discussions we had here. When, as a commissioner, anything where there's a conflict of interest, you are not supposed to participate in it. You step down. If issues come up, and let's say that I know you as a friend, and you bring an issue before us, I cannot be part of that discussion. I have to step down, step out of the dais, and let the other commissioners discuss it and pass whatever they need to pass. Okay? Because they don't want any undue influence. Me supporting your view or propagating your ideas, that is a no-no. In terms of the duties of commissioners is to come up with laws. These laws will be looked at by the departments that it affects or the areas that it affects, and then make sure that you are not going against a particular person. You didn't bring this law or bring these issues to affect somebody. You will do it for the general.
With malice.
Yeah, you have to be general public in good terms.
All right.
Okay, before you take it to council and mayor for approval.
All right.
Okay, so all these issues, what we have in Nigeria, everything is politicized. Nothing is for the public. Not everything is for me. How do I deal with you? And this is the problem we have.
I think that's what we call me, myself, and I.
Me, myself, and I.
All right, thank you, Mazi. Dr. Kayode, quick one, and your final thoughts on.
Yeah, you see, yes, people will be saying EFCC are not being able to perform or this or that. Quite. But the question is somebody somewhere not controlling what EFCC should do and what should not do?
Independence.
Do you understand? Is EFCC having the real independence to act? I'll give you an instance. Look at Akpabio. Look at Akpabio. He was the Senate president. He was already at the verge of going to jail. Right? When he was being accused in court. The court was to give judgment.
You have the facts?
You say what?
The facts are...
It's in the media. I can Google it out here for you now. Then this guy now came on, he was talking about anybody that has joined APC, even if you are a devil, you become an angel. And he jumped to APC. And that was, are you not aware that it was this minister now in aviation? What's his name?
Festus
Keyamo. Festus Keyamo. That was the one in charge of that case. And why was Festus Keyamo not able to work with him as his own junior minister during Buhari's regime? But look at him today.
In 30 seconds, how will you rate Festus Keyamo as a Minister of Aviation? 30 seconds.
Between you and me, I never believed Keyamo can perform there. But I'm impressed. Especially what he has done on airpeace.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis London Gatwick. Do you understand? The guy has been... Then again, he has also dealt with... He has been working on this either wet lease or whatever lease for Nigerian aviation industry to come up. The guy, honestly speaking, has done fantastically well.
He did.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Unfortunately, this is the way we have to end the show today. I've been talking with Dr. Dayo Kayode, who is a sociopolitical analyst, technocrat, and aviation safety expert. I also had Mazi Ikechukwu Mbelu. Maybe you should just go for a
PhD, right? Yeah, push them down, right?
All right.
Let me touch you so that I can become one.
And eventually with Dr. Damage's show, the flagship and KJ. Gentlemen, thanks so very much for being on this show. This show comes up every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. West African time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our page. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Keep a date with us next week as we bring another interesting edition for you. I am your host, Chukwuma Okoro. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Are you ready to connect with distinguished Nigerians around the world? The Diaspora Perspective is here to share the views of Nigerians in the diaspora on burning issues.
From the street of New York, the royal cities of London, and the bustling cities of Europe, Voice of the People Television brings to you a roundtable and collage of interesting views from Nigerians in diaspora.
Join the host of the show and some Nigerians in diaspora, Dr. Damages, the flagship, show, and KJ, as they discuss the experiences, challenges, and triumphs of Nigerians living abroad.
Discussing and analyzing everything from politics, culture, policies, career success, and how Nigerians are staying connected to their roots. Showing every Saturday by 2 p.m. West African time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The Diaspora Perspective, giving a voice to Nigerians abroad.